Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? Today we're going back in time to explore the journey of black students in America.
Yeah, we're going all the way back to the 1920s.
That's right, and to do that, we're going to use a pretty incredible school as our starting point.
Oh, absolutely.
Paul Dunbar High School in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
So you sent over some research on Dunbar, and wow, this school was really something else.
Oh, it was amazing.
Like seriously impressive.
Yeah, Dunbar was DC's very first public high school for black students.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize that.
Founded way back in 1870.
Okay.
But get this, by the 1920s, Dunbar had become the place to be if you were a black student in the area.
Really?
It was known for being super rigorous academically, like we're talking students staging full productions of Shakespeare plays entirely in French by the 1930s.
Plays in French. Seriously.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. I mean, that just speaks to the level of dedication and the pursuit of excellence that Dunbar embodied. Like, they were determined to show everyone what black students were capable of achieving,
Yeah.
If they were just given the opportunity.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just about academics either. I mean, you have to remember, this is the 1920s.
Right.
Segregation was still the law of the land. Opportunities for black Americans were severely limited.
Yeah.
Dunbar was like this haven for black students,
Yeah.
a place where they could see themselves reflected in their teachers, in the curriculum even.
It's so true. And that's something we almost take for granted now.
Right.
But back then, that would have been revolutionary.
Totally revolutionary.
To walk the halls of the school and see educators who looked like you, who understood your experiences.
Exactly, and who believed in your potential.
Yeah.
And another thing, Dunbar, they didn't shy away from celebrating black culture and black identity.
That's so important.
They embraced it as a source of strength and pride.
I love that.
It was central to their mission.
Yeah.
They saw themselves as not just educating students, but equipping them with a powerful sense of identity and purpose.
It's true. And, that's something that goes way beyond textbook knowledge.
Way beyond.
That's real preparation for life.
Exactly. And it's something that's still so relevant today.
Absolutely, 100 years later.
It's amazing when you think about it.
It is.
By understanding what made Dunbar so successful, we can learn so much about how we approach urban education even today.
It's like we're using the past as a guide.
Exactly, like a guidebook to the future.
I love that. Okay, so how do those lessons from Dunbar's success, how do those translate to the realities of urban schools today? Because things are obviously a lot different now than they were back in the 1920s.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The landscape has changed a lot since Dunbar's time. But, even though we've made progress in some areas, a lot of urban schools, especially those with mainly black students, they face a whole different set of challenges today.
Yeah, and it's hard not to think about the contrast, between
Yeah.
Dunbar with its legacy of high expectations and this unwavering support for its students.
Mm.
And then on the other hand, you see all these schools today struggling with limited resources and overcrowded classrooms.
Yeah.
And then you have this weight of systemic inequalities that just seems to hold back our education system.
It's true. It's a really complex situation, and that's exactly why it's so important that we talk about these things.
Yeah.
We have to acknowledge that these disparities exist and figure out how they impact both students and teachers.
Absolutely. We can't ignore these challenges. We have to face them head on.
Exactly.
But even with these challenges, the research you sent mentioned some exciting new approaches that are popping up in urban education.
Yeah.
Like culturally responsive teaching and this big focus on mentorship programs.
Right.
So tell me more about that.
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because despite the challenges, educators and communities are finding really creative solutions.
Yeah.
Culturally responsive teaching, for example.
Hmm.
It takes what Dunbar did with embracing black culture and takes it a step further.
Okay.
Well, it's all about weaving a student's cultural background, their community, their unique identity into how they learn.
Now that makes learning way more meaningful and engaging.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
So instead of using, just generic examples in like a math lesson on ratios,
Right.
a teacher could decide to use the proportions found in traditional West African textile patterns.
Oh, wow.
And suddenly this abstract concept becomes something tangible, relatable, and it really resonates with the students.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like you're taking something that's already familiar to them and using it as this bridge to help them understand.
Exactly.
I can see how that would be a game changer in the classroom.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So it sounds like culturally responsive teaching, it's more than just representation.
It's way more than that.
It's about making sure students feel seen, heard, and valued for who they are.
You got it.
I like that. And it makes me think about how Dunbar was like this central hub for the Black community back then.
It's
And now we're seeing that same emphasis on community engagement more and more in urban education today.
Absolutely.
So it's about what happens inside the school, but also about building these strong connections between the school and the families and the community it serves.
That's exactly it. Schools are finally realizing that they're not these isolated islands.
Right.
By working with families and community organizations, they can create this support system
Yeah.
that really empowers students both inside and outside of the classroom.
That's so important. It reminds me of how Dunbar created that really nurturing and supportive environment for its students. Are there other ways that schools are doing that today, bridging that gap between the classroom and the community?
Oh, yeah, definitely. One great example is how much more schools are incorporating Black history, Black art, and stories of Black leadership directly into what they're teaching.
It's about time, right? I
Yeah.
mean, can you imagine how empowering that is for a young person
Oh, absolutely.
to see themselves in the figures they're learning about,
It makes a huge difference.
to have those role models who look like them?
Yeah, it shows them what's possible.
And it's not just about history. It's about feeling like you belong,
Exactly.
like you have a place in this world and you can achieve great things too.
It plants those seeds of hope and possibility.
Absolutely. So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive,
We have.
from the halls of Dunbar in the 1920s to classrooms all across the country today.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
So as we wrap things up, what would you say is like the biggest takeaway from all of this?
You know what really sticks with me is the power of legacy.
Yeah,
Dunbar's story, it's more than just history. It shows us how important quality education is,
it's true.
especially for creating a fairer and more just society.
Mm-hmm.
Education can be this incredible force for good,
It can.
for empowering people, for helping them reach their potential, and for building a better future.
Yeah,
But here's the thing, it doesn't happen by magic.
so true. It really does take a village.
Exactly. Just like Dunbar needed its community, today's schools need that same support.
That collaboration is key.
It is. We need dedicated teachers, engaged families, and supportive communities all working together,
Yeah.
just like they did back at Dunbar all those years ago.
It's a team effort for sure.
It is. It's our collective responsibility to make sure that every single student, no matter who they are or where they come from,
Right.
has the chance to succeed.
It makes you wonder what today's schools will inspire in the generations to come. That's something to think about.
That is a great question. Something to think about for sure.